Doo-doo, chick-doo-doo. That's the angle.
Ooh, what?
Doo-doo. That's the podcast.
Can we get a nice little cheese
Yes.
up here?
This is real classy.
Wine on a rainy day. It feels so nice.
It's necessary.
Right? That little hair on the microphone. So before we get into this, I just need to ask the most obvious question. Why is your name Trap Bob? Because I've never found the answer to this question. As long as I've known of you, why I need to know.
Yeah, I used to not answer the question, but now I'm like, there's more story than my name, so I'd rather just get it out of the way. I really hated nicknames growing up because my real name is, I guess, hard for people to pronounce, Tenbita. Mm-hmm. And at one point I was like really into like cartoon character backpacks in high school. So I had like a Bob the Builder backpack, and my friend like saw me down the hall and just saw my back and just yelled out Bob. And then I guess too many people heard her say that, and it became like my nickname. And usually I fight them, but then I was like, it was so funny. Like Bob is so simple. Yeah. Like it's like the opposite of my name, and it's like 2 letters, and they're just like back to back, spelled the same, forward, backward. It was just interesting, so I just let it slide. And then I would do like different versions of Bob, like for my usernames. Like I had like oh my gosh base Bob at one point, and like what the Bob, just like any version of it. And then when I started doing my art, Gucci dropped Trap God, and I'm literally the biggest Gucci fan in the world. So it was just perfect. I was like, oh, Trap Bob, like that's the perfect spinoff, and I just kept that one. Dude,
okay, that makes so much sense.
Right now, it makes sense.
It's so funny the fact that I even gave you the name Bob the Builder backpack, and it's like, Bob's like the widest, most American name.
No, it's so funny to me. Like I love it. Sometimes I'll order drinks at Starbucks and like say Bob because I don't want to deal with, that whole thing.
Yeah.
And then it'll be like another white guy walking up too. Like I've had times where we both walk up and are like, having like a stare off.
Like anyone named Bob is just always 50 years old.
Yeah,
with
exactly.
Gray hair.
Right. You don't imagine like even a kid named Bob. It's just funny to me.
I love that. Gucci Man mixed with just the old throwback. It's like whatever nickname or screen name you use in middle school, you don't think about it just sticks with you forever.
Yeah, it's really definitive. I think you just know yourself well at that time, but like also not at all. So it's like funny to just decide this is who I'm going to be now.
God, I can't tell you how long I had the word positron in all of my nicknames. It was like this like video game reference I used when I used to play video games.
Yeah.
And I just used it for like 10 years. And like just like 5 years ago, I finally got rid of it. I was like, oh my God.
It's hard to let them go though, because you just feel so sure about it at that time. You're like, this is me. Like, I don't know who I am yet, but this is me.
Right? It's like, be careful because you're about to choose your brand for the next 20 years.
Seriously.
Like you have no idea.
Leaving it in the hands of like a 15-year-old.
Right?
That's funny.
It's just so funny how it all pans out. And it's funny that you mentioned that the Gucci Man and that you were inspired by that, because the first time I became aware of you was 2 or 3 years ago at the Future of Sports exhibition. And I'm pretty sure you had a Gucci Man like inspired prayer candle.
Yes. Oh man. Yeah. He was the first one I did because like, of course, like every time, if I can make any type of Gucci art, I always find a way to.
Yeah.
So the candles, I just kind of thought, let me just find a way to honor and celebrate people who look like me, minorities who are like killing it, but don't always get certain types of recognition. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to be able to like speak that into the candles. And it's just such a spiritual and great thing to even just have in your home. So I really just wanted to find different ways to get my message across. And that one, like Gucci was the first person I could think of that I'd want to have a candle of. And then, I added Cardi and 21 in, and that went well.
I mean, yeah, it was right on the money at that time. It was like right when Cardi came out, 21 was hottest. Didn't Gucci just get out of jail or something?
Yep, it was when he was like, I think going through his clone time. So it was just, it was right on the money for what people wanted to have. And then I ended up doing another set with Pharrell, Beyonce, and Rihanna.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I loved both of them. For real, I still have them in my house. I won't even burn them because I just love them so much.
I loved those candles, and that was my first introduction to you. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, this girl, she's clever, because I was like, I grew up with Catholic candles, and my grandmother had them all around the house and saying prayer. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, this is my worlds colliding right here.
That's what we got to do. We have to bring it into the now.
Mm-hmm. And it was just so interesting because that was like, I think almost 3 years ago now when we really think about it. That Future Sports exhibition.
That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago.
Jeez.
And you were like kind of in the corner just selling these, and there wasn't much else there, like people selling. But where in your career were you at that point?
I'm pretty sure I was full-time freelancing. And just doing shows, trying to grow. I wasn't like beginning stages, but it was, I think, like an experimental time for me. And I did a lot of products back then because I didn't really know what I wanted to do and I had more time. So I just wanted to experiment with different things. Like I said, I'm always trying to find a way to connect with my audience, and like if I can find a way to bring my work into their home in, you know, a different way than just hanging it on a wall. Because for me, I get bored with like, you know, making prints all the time, or even with painting, I got tired of painting on canvas. So being able to be versatile is really important to me.
And that's why you made like that product, because was that your first foray into doing something different?
No, I think I've done so many random things.
But I know what you're talking about. It's like you kind of get tired of just like the same old square canvas, painting on it, make a print, sell the original. It's just like, God, there's so much more to expressing yourself than just those mediums.
Exactly. Because I realized for me, it wasn't just the design that I wanted to make. It was the application of it. Like I studied marketing in college before I really figured out that I wanted to do art. And so I have that kind of like mindset too, of just being able to adapt and like find different ways, keep people entertained. You know, I don't want people to get bored with my work, just like I get bored with it. So I've done like clothing. I did hats when I started out, like, and I don't ever feel like I'm defined by the stuff I make. Like I think as an artist, it's great because we can just make anything and still say you're an artist. And when I started doing like long sleeves and hats and stuff, people wanted to kind of get me to say I was a designer, like a clothing designer, or had a streetwear brand.
So weird, right?
And I just was like, no, I never wanted to do that. I'm not against doing it, but I don't feel like, I think it's kind of like a simple way to define what type of artist I am. And I didn't like that. So I like to keep it just open and just say artist.
I mean, if that was the case, I would think you're a candle artist. You know? But I think these days, like the definition and the function of artist is not so one-dimensional anymore. Like you should be doing merch, you should be doing canvas, you should be doing different mediums. Like it seems like that's the new sort of model for being an artist these days. It's like your name is your brand and everything else is just kind of like under the umbrella. Yeah,
because you really, to even be successful and really support yourself, you need a brand. It can't just be the simple like you do a painting and put it in a gallery. You really have to build a company that's going to keep you going in the future. So I'm like, you know, of course I love drawing and painting now, but what am I going to do with it to keep it sustaining me and then my family and then my family's family? Like I wanted to keep going. So I don't want to ever be limited by what I can do, because as an artist, like that's what we do. We create whatever it is. So if I can go and make a design for some company's, you know, merchandise or make some type of toy, why can't I just make that for myself? And, you know, I look to Lisa Frank. That is
Whoa, what a reference.
That is my
right
queen.
there.
Oh, let me show you my phone case.
Oh my.
Look, I'm not playing.
What?
This is my queen.
Are those individual Lisa Frank stickers?
They made it look like the stickers, but it's a phone case.
Oh,
like the whole thing is like on there.
Whoa.
Yeah, she's like, oh my God, one of my biggest inspirations as an artist. Like when I was a kid, I was Lisa down. Like pen, sticker, every single thing. And I just loved how versatile she was. And I loved how about her business she was, because I think I even kind of looked at her more as a business at first.
Interesting.
Because I loved the art. And for me, art is just so natural that I think when I was younger, I just never, it didn't register to me. It just felt like it was a thing. I didn't think I had to think about it. So I loved how business minded she was and how I realized like she was surrounding me in my life. So I think that's where I kind of got interested in, I guess, marketing and business. And then the two kind of came together.
Like you looked at her at some point and you were like, whoa, this woman's a boss. Like it's not just colorful stuff. It's like, wait a minute, there's something more going on here. Like she deserves that recognition when you really think about it. She's a
and she's still doing it.
Is she really?
Like this is from a new collection, that phone case.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I be keeping up.
So she's still in like little kids' homes and making the color books and everything.
She's doing it all. And I feel like she's even like transitioning to like young adults. And you know how like it's like popular now for like people around our age to be still kind of childlike in the things that we keep. So I love that she's able to adapt to and keep growing. So the fact that she's still relevant and going now is like a testament to why I really felt connected with her when I was younger. And I never saw anyone do anything like that, especially a woman.
That was some wild stuff, like crazy, colorful books. Like, it was like fuzzy and furry at times.
She was taking over like everywhere.
She was the shit.
Yep, she still is. But that was so amazing to me. And I'm like, I never had any other examples of that pushed on me in a sense. So like, even with me being into art when I was young, it was never... no one was ever like, consider doing this or continue doing this or pushing me. Like I did well and I liked it, but you know, at that age, you kind of just go with the flow with things.
What do you mean you did well? Like you were in school and like you took art classes and it was good shit? Or
yeah, like I would go like I just did class like in elementary school and I ended up having like, we did like self-portraits in first grade and I had mine like tour around in a show until like middle school.
Whoa.
Like for years.
Whoa.
And I actually just found it. I have it at home now and it's really, like I'm disgusted at actually how profound the piece was at the time.
Really?
For what I did, yeah. Not even the skill, but just like the message I had in it. It was like me, it was supposed to be a royal self-portrait. So it was me as a princess, I guess, because I was young. And I painted myself, but I painted myself with blonde hair and blue eyes.
Whoa.
Because that's all I ever saw was a princess or a queen.
That is true.
Like, and it really, that was my mentality at the time. But then I was like, but I'm black, so I have to make myself black. But I was like, if I put the blonde hair and the blue eyes, then it was like on point with the message that I had already been given, you know, through movies and whatever. So
I could see how like an adult would look at that and be like, whoa, this girl's totally, she's talking some stuff right now.
Exactly.
Like,
and me, girls, I was just like, this is just how I see stuff. So even the style I kind of painted it in is similar to how I do now, like strong lines and just like basic bright colors. So now when I look at it and I think about the other work that I did at that age, like I was the person in my class who, like, I think we made clay sculptures at one point and everybody made a sun and I decided to make like a crescent moon and it was actually really cool. Damn. And then my art teacher broke it. I'll never forget that shit. I was like, is this a sign? Like, I remember being sick over it. And now that I think about it, that's how I feel about my work now. Like, if anyone messed it up or touched it, that's like the worst thing you could do to me.
Wait, is like mess up one of your pieces?
Yeah, like just anything like against my work. That just like, I can't take it. So now when I think about it, it really all came full circle. But yeah, at that time, like I felt connected to it, but I didn't continue that. Like it wasn't pushed, you know, like you take science every year, you take English, whatever, but art didn't continue. So to me at that time, I was like, oh, I'm not supposed to do that then.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about because when I was in high school, that's when I found like my passion for photography. But at that point, there were no examples of any professional photographers. There was no social media where I could see some like 12-year-old dude flossing or something like that. It was just like, okay, like that's all it is. And there wasn't one person who was like, hey, Bruce, you know, you're really good at this. Maybe you could make this a career. Like that was not a thing. And maybe it was similar for you where it's like, you're clearly talented. Like you're crushing in school but no one's like, yo, you should think about being a graphic designer or like taking this seriously.
It never came up. Not even the idea of like doing graphic design. And my dad is an artist and he even like, he raised me creatively, I think. I definitely had that mindset since I was young, but it was never just to that taken serious level. Like I would do like the doodles and bubble letters and stuff all through school. Like I was the one who like was known for that. But the idea of taking art class or taking it seriously was always like, people want to take art class for an easy class.
Yeah.
Or to just like be lazy or something.
It was like an easy elective.
Yeah. And I didn't work like that. Like I was serious about school, even though I didn't really feel passionate about it. I just knew how to be disciplined and do well. So I felt like I was like that until like senior year of college. And then I was like, I need to find something I actually like doing. Like
you were like dedicated to doing art?
I wasn't dedicated to anything really. Like I was studying business. I was good at doing what I was supposed to do. So I would do well in the classes I needed to take.
You were a good student.
Yeah. But not because I wanted to, just because that's how I was raised to be, you know, just to be good at what you do and to be committed to things. So I did like sports and I was like dance team captain. Like I was like, I was big on leadership and stuff like that, but it was, and I cared about those parts of it, but the actual, like, I didn't really care for the way they handle education in this country. I don't really care for the way that in business school, I was pushed a lot to get into these corporate environments, but people who didn't, let's say, get into a business school couldn't get the resources that they might need, even if they're not going into a corporate environment. And I didn't like that. So I felt like it was important to be an example of a balance between the two, of doing what you want, but also knowing that you need a business mindset, you need education, things like that. So
that's so rare. It's so rare that as an artist, you have that business mindset, like that business background, because a lot of artists are lacking that.
Yeah. It's like almost like you have to decide which way to go. And for me, I started from, the business side, but it made so much sense to me when I started getting into art. Like I just started drawing and painting because I was just bored and kind of stressed out with school. And I thought it would just be a good relief because I hadn't done it so long. And then I did it, and I was like, this is all I can do for the rest of my life. Like
really?
I was 100% like this. I have to change everything. Wow. I've like uprooted myself. I mean, I still finished business school, and like I was like a president of like a business association, like coming from painting class, like covered in paint. So I was trying to really get that idea across that you can utilize both sides of you.
I'm not gonna lie, it sounds like you just excelled at everything you did in school. You were really good at like formalized education. Like
I just was like I'm Ethiopian. My parents came from Ethiopia, so I'm first generation, the oldest of 4. So I didn't have really a choice, but
I see that.
I did it because I thought it was important, and I still do. But I feel like when I started thinking about being an artist, it was almost like they were conflicting mentalities, and I didn't like that because I feel the same as I would feel if I didn't do art. Like I still care about the things I care about, but now I get to add my expression to it. So that's where once I made that transition, that's when I really started getting into like a business mentality and thinking about having my own business. And
do you remember the moment where you kind of had the thought like, whoa, like I want to do this, or I want to be an artist full time? Was that like a distinct moment, or was it just kind of like an overtime thing?
It was like a time of my life. I think I don't remember the exact moment, but I know as soon as I started getting back into art, it just took over my life. Like it was literally all I could think. Like I couldn't even look around a room and not think about how I would draw shapes and stuff like that. Like it was to that level. It was in my head. So that's when I realized this is what it actually means to love what you do. And I just found any way I could to do it. Like I did paintings for myself. I would I think it was on Instagram was starting out. So I was just sharing drawings and stuff like that. And
is that how you started? Like you were like, yo, let me get back into this. And then you just started sharing it more. How did you start the process from being in school to making it full-time or part-time then full-time? What was that process like for you? I
was finishing up at UMD for undergrad, and I took like a painting class, I think like an intro to painting class, and I learned oil painting. And then at first I kind of treated it like I treated school. Like I did what I had to do to get by. I didn't really like put the care into it. And then I started deciding to care about it. And I finished school. I think I tried to work, but it was all like I did like temp stuff, or like I worked for an interior design company for like 2 years randomly. But there, the woman who ran it, she had her business for like 30 years in DC, and she was really big. Like she was like competing with the big contractors in DC, but she only worked with herself.
Wow.
So she had me come on and work like side by side with her, and she really taught me how to run a business. She taught me how to like do everything. And I kind of got laid off that job actually because she stopped getting projects. And then at that point I was like, okay, time to go full time, because I couldn't do like a regular work environment. Like even when I had that job, it was work at home, very like independent working, and that's how I like to be. So I didn't want to put myself in a position that I felt like I wouldn't be able to be my best in.
Yeah, but she put you on a game though. Like she gave you like direct business lessons. Like that's stuff that people work for free for, that internship. Like that's real boss lady in the trenches trying to start something mentality. That's so valuable.
Yeah, it was a life changer for me. So that was when I knew, like, I was like, I have all the info I need. I care about my work enough. And I had already been doing like some shows and some stuff, but it wasn't full time. But I was showing a lot of the same work, but just like almost every weekend I did shows. And I just kept spreading my name, and it was like I was sharing my work while I was finding my style and finding my voice with everything. So that part was kind of weird. But I'm glad that I was able to be transparent, because it's like important to me to show people you can grow, and being consistent does get you a reward in the end. So
how long have you been on the journey for?
Since like 2015, seriously, I would say.
5 years though.
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
That's seriously a long time. And I met you like maybe like 2017, so you were 2 years into it at that point.
Yeah, and then for me, it's like, I guess that is a long time when you think about it, but there's like no timeline for me. You know, I'm just gonna keep doing art, and things will change as I do it. And of course, I'm growing, and I want to keep growing. But if you really want something and you care about it, like there's no limit on how long you'll do it. And I sat down with myself when I really started taking it seriously, and I was like, okay, would I sleep in my car to be an artist?
Would you?
And it didn't even take me a second. I was like, I don't do anything. I don't think it would come to that because, you know, I know I'm good at what I do, but I literally could not do anything else. So at that moment was when I was really like, all right.
Like you will leave it all behind to make this your thing, make your passion, your main career, make it like how you make your money.
Yeah, and I didn't even know how. But luckily at the time also, it was like artists were resurfacing and getting into like collaborating with these big corporations and getting paid and being able to sustain themselves.
Hold up one second. You're one of the few guests who actually knows how to talk into a microphone, so I got to change the level.
Ah, gotcha.
Sorry to cut you off, but you don't understand how many guests I've had on the show who like the microphone's like a mile away from their face. Like you're on. I'm like, oh my God.
And like, I'm like loud in general too. So.
Yeah, I was not prepared for it. I was like, oh man, she actually knows what she's doing. Like I was like, oh, I wish I had like a mixer right here. I would have done it. But
I've become media trained now because I've been doing so many interviews.
Like as soon as you started talking, I was like, oh God damn it. Like I had given you a little bit more gain because I was listening to my past podcast, and people wouldn't notice it, but I was listening to my past podcast, and I was like, oh, they're a little quieter than me. I don't like that.
Yeah.
And the way I record, I can't really fix it in post. I can do so much.
Right.
It's like, all right, I'm going to give her a little more and I'll go a little less.
It's all good. It's all about adapting though. We got it now.
I'm sorry. What were you saying?
Yeah, it was like a time the artists were really getting like opportunities and getting out there. And there was a lot of artists that I looked at that from just Instagram that I found, and I saw them growing and I saw the cool things they were doing. So,
and you were operating out of DC. You were operating out of DC too.
I think I was in Langley Park at the time.
But this area, like this general.
Yeah. All my shows and stuff were all in DC. But yeah, so I started just kind of. I believed in the whole like. I hate to say fake it till you make it because it sounds fake, but just a little bit. Thank you. I really believe that if you want to be something, you have to think of yourself as that and you'll become that. So I looked at like, even like Google was like the only time in business school when I wanted to work for anyone, I thought of Google.
Whoa.
So I looked at myself like I want to be a Google artist, like at that level type of business mind. So I treated myself like a big corporation or like a big artist that I looked up to. And then I knew that in turn, people would have to treat me like that. And I would be working at that level, and it would just keep going. So that's what I did.
Yeah, I don't know if it's faking it till you make it. I think it's more like you're projecting or living like the person you want to live like.
Yeah, exactly. You know, fake it till you make it is just simple way.
It's like you're faking it, but at the same time, it's kind of like, well, this is what I'm trying to be, so I have to start it at some point.
Yeah.
You can't just have part-time artists in your bio forever. Like it's
exactly
at some point you have to make that switch. You're like, no, this is what I am. No matter what level I'm at right now, this is what it is.
Because it's easy to have imposter syndrome, especially when you start out, and that was a big thing for me. And I still dealt with it internally, but I was like, I'm not going to show people that I don't feel comfortable in what I'm doing because then they'll never believe me. But if I like show what I'm doing and what I want to do and, you know, be transparent and consistent about it, then that's where you get real support and you get people who really want to see you grow. And I literally like the people that have supported me since I started, I'm so blessed because they didn't have to, you know, I didn't really even have as much going on for me when I started out. So to have like specific, even like leaders in DC, like Morgan, who does A Creative DC, was one of the first people to really support me and huge highlight Instagram my work. Yeah, and you know, it was right when they started out, and I think I just put something on the hashtag because I found it. I didn't really know what it was, but I was just trying to get out there, and she really like from day one, she supported me. She's had me do a lot of projects with her. I did a residency at the A Creative Studio. And she really made such a difference with my career. So I always appreciate people who support me. And I try to support people that I think are authentic and serious about what they're doing because there needs to be more people like me.
Well, you can see it. You can see authenticity a mile away, whether it's online or in person. Like, you can see if someone means what they're doing, if they're serious, whether or not you agree with their level of skill at that point. You can still be like,
exactly,
damn, Bruce's podcast, he sucks ass. But in a year, it'll probably be pretty tight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, potential. That's really what it comes down to, is the potential. So, and even when you don't know if you have potential or not, I guess, if you're questioning yourself, you got to move like you do.
Blissful ignorance sometimes is all you need.
Yeah. So really, there are some people who, they're really full of themselves about their work, and it might not be there, but you believe them.
Yeah,
and you want to see them get up there. So, yeah, I love seeing people that are just excited to put themselves out there and don't move from a place of fear. Because fear just destroys everything. So when I feel like I'm afraid of something or afraid of taking a chance, then I know that's what I'm supposed to do.
Really?
Because that's what will take me to what I want to get to, Like, if I'm only doing things that I'm comfortable with, then I've plateaued.
Big facts.
Yeah, and it's nothing's going to help me grow from there. So that's one of the biggest lessons I learned early on. And that's how I still feel like I continue to grow. And I think it's helped me grow faster, too, because I'm not taking time just, like, floating around. Really, like, I'm, like, trying to scare the shit out of myself. That's how I think of it.
Really? What was the last, like, project or something you had where you felt uncomfortable or discomfort or really challenged? Is there anything that comes to mind? Like, the last thing you're like, oh God, I don't know if I can deal with this brand, or I could make this deadline, or like. I
think I feel like that with every project that's like something I haven't done before, or even if it's like a more publicized thing, like even winning the Pabst Blue Ribbon contest.
I was just thinking about that.
And having the can, like it's been amazing. Like, I'm so thankful for the opportunity, and I loved working with them. But in the beginning, it was like even hard to believe that my work was going to be seen by so many people, or to be highlighted so much, or to work with a company that big. Like, I didn't.
Yeah, that's gotta be crazy. Like, yo, my art's gonna be on a can of beer. What the hell do I put on this can of beer?
I didn't even, and when I made the design for the contest, it was like the last day, and I had like, it was a time when I had all these projects that fell through and things, I didn't know what was going to happen. And I was just like, I wanted to work with them, and then I realized the contest was about to end. So I really just went into it like, I'm going to make a very me design, and if it wins because that's what they want, then it's meant to be. If not, it doesn't mean anything. Like, to me, it doesn't mean anything about the level of my work. It's just about, when you work with other people, they have to want what you have too, and it needs to be commercial enough. But I did have that idea of like commerciability into it when I made it.
That is an interesting line and struggle. I think a lot of artists always deal with this. At what line is it, fuck you, this is my art, versus this is my art and it's slightly more commercial?
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
I mean, like I said, I came from a business background, so I understand the importance of being marketable. And I don't think that it has to take away from your artisticness. Like, I don't think it has to take away from what you would create. For me, I like creating things that catch attention and would make you. Do you
find yourself like censoring your art for the edge of being marketable? Like, when you're at home designing your intimate moments, are you finding yourself being like, oh man, I shouldn't draw that blunt, or maybe I shouldn't put that in there because if someone sees this, like, that's a balancing act?
It is definitely balancing, I think, because I mean, I try to make my work a reflection of me. I think of it like a mirror. And I put stuff in that sometimes isn't like as acceptable, like smoking and things like that. But I also like want my art to make it far. I don't want to alienate people. That's a big thing for me. So that's why I even do hands a lot of the time, because I want people to be able to connect with it. So I pick and choose when I really like fully go into it, but I never feel like I get limited. I always feel like my work is my work. It's just, there's a time and place for everything. And just as much as I think that artwork like on a beer can needs to be marketable and people want to pick it up, I think the same with my work. I want someone to see it and want to like buy a print or to find out more about me and what I do, stuff like that. So I think it all kind of falls into the same place.
How did that beer can thing work out? Like, so you submitted and you won. Did they give you like a bunch of money? Like, what was that process?
Yeah, so it's they have a yearly contest, and this was the first year that they actually had 3 winners because they couldn't choose between the designs, I guess. And it was a 12-ounce can, a 16-ounce can, and a 24-ounce can, and mine is on the 24.
Hey,
which is great because it worked well with the UFO, with the hand reaching up. There was a good amount of space, but DC doesn't sell that size. So it's been hard.
That's a very hipster city size. It's like a Richmond size. Someone in Richmond's like, yeah, her beer is sick. Trap Hop is dope.
Yeah, it would have been perfect, but that's out of my control. But it's all over the country. Like when I was in Oakland.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I was in Oakland a couple weeks ago and I ran into it at the grocery store and I had like a whole photo shoot.
What does that feel like? That's gotta feel so good to see art in a public place like that. That is it's such a surreal feeling.
It was like, they're literally like my babies. Like, I feel like I just ran into one of my kids. That's how I feel about all my work. So I screamed, I bought all of them, and then I told them they needed to restock them. I was like, you guys are out of these really cool cans.
Genius. Yeah, I think you need more of these 16 ounces back here.
They're so popular, like they're all gone. I was like, my friend was looking for them. Yeah, I mean, it's tight, and it's crazy because the bigger the projects I get, the more time they take, So this contest, like, I won over a year ago.
Whoa, and it took a year just to roll out?
It came out in, I think, September, October. The actual can started printing out, and we got some in D.C. because I did like a can release party at somewhere, and we got some at Big Chief. But yeah, I've run into it in like other parts of the country a lot, and I have people tagging me all the time in other cities. And
do you like PBR?
Yeah.
Oh, you are a beer drinker?
I actually like it. Like, I'm a beer drinker. I'm more of like an IPA person.
Same.
But when I drink a light beer, like PBR was my choice. Like at College Park, they were all over the place. So that was the only one.
When I was in college, PBR that was my go-to at the bar. Like $5 draft, PBR, say less.
Exactly, easy, cheap. Like, and I really liked how artistic they were as a brand. That's actually why I entered the contest, because I had been watching them for a while and I just wanted to work with them in any capacity.
Well, because Chris Pirate really kind of brought them in this market, didn't he? Or was that before?
Well, he was their first like kind of artist that worked as a rep.
Okay,
so
I see what you're saying.
When he came in right after I won the contest, actually.
Oh,
so we kind of both started working with them at the same time, and it was great because then we were able to be artists that were also bringing the brand to the creative scene here. So they were here, but just not, I think, as much in our community. So it was cool to be able to do that, and they made a lot of different products with the design. They had like backpacks. They just sent me a snowboard, which is like crazy.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
with your designer,
with my design on it.
What?
Like, they make them for the company. Like, they sell the stuff for internally and events and stuff. And they always send me whatever they make. So they made a crazy beer pong table. That's my favorite one.
They send you that too?
Yeah, I have like a bunch of them. It's crazy.
Yo, if you send me, does it look like this table?
Yeah, but longer. Like,
oh man, I can't use that. Oh, it's like a legit size beer pong table, like skinny, like a little lane and
all that. Like, it's, and I never even played beer pong like that. But now I'm a champ because I just take the table everywhere. I'm like, come on, we got house rules. It's always my rules, and I always have to win. That's the only way we can play.
Yo, I can't tell you how many games of beer pong I have won in college that were just like game breakers. I'll never forget this one moment where it was like tied up, and you know how when you go overtime, it's like 3 cups.
Yeah.
I got the bounce back on 2 cups left behind the back for redemption.
What?
I got it in. I'll never forget that moment. And we ended up winning the game, and I was just like, I was probably drinking PBR too.
Look,
to be completely
it
honest.
all makes sense. It all comes together.
But that's such a look, though. Like, to be an artist in this city where art is very, I feel, underappreciated, and the level of artists now I feel like is rising.
Yeah, for sure.
Historically has always been very low. Most big artists don't decide to plant their roots here.
Yeah.
That's a huge look to a big corporate, national, world, global brand like PBR.
It's crazy, and it was really exciting also to be able to represent DC too, because no one really looks here for a lot of things. I mean, we're getting up there for sure. Like, I definitely call this a renaissance that we're in, a creative renaissance. But, while I'm growing, my big thing is to bring eyes here too while people are learning about me, because the reason I'm so able to create and do so many great things is because the area inspires me so much. Like, no matter where else I go and work, I always miss DC every single time. Like, it's nothing like it. I mean, I can have fun like in LA and New York, of course. It's like a cute visit, but to be real, like, there's nothing that feels like being in DC. So I'm always trying to get the recognition up and get us to be up there with those big cities, because all the talent's here.
What do you like about DC?
It's just like the energy. I mean, honestly, I think people aren't raised or grown up on the East Coast. You might feel like it's like intimidating or people are mean or standoffish, but I love it. Like, I feel like we have this kind of unsaid competition between us all. I mean, it can get unhealthy, of course, but there's a healthy part of it that keeps us motivated, and that's why I think people succeed here, and not just in art or music. I think like all around. I mean, there's so many people who are doing great philanthropy here. There are so many people in the political realm.
I mean, outside of just artists, DC is a hyper successful town, if not one of the most dense of like wealth towns or cities in America.
Exactly. You're going to run into more people here that are doing something than not doing something.
Exactly.
So it keeps you pushing because you're kind of like trying to keep up and grow. And I think you have to find a balance of it not getting to you in a negative way or making you hate on people and their growth. I think we have to learn that a little more around here.
You're easy to hate on if I was... I mean, I'm a visual artist, but in a weird way, I feel like I'm in a different lane than you. But even then, I'm like, it's easy to hate on y'all.
Yeah, but I think as an artist, if you're an artist, you don't look at other people as competition in a sense. I mean, in a healthy way, you do, of course. Like, even my friend artists, like, you know, it's always important for me to feel like we're growing together and to motivate each other and be excited for each other. But I think that you should be happy with what you make, and you shouldn't feel like somebody else's success takes away from yours.
I mean, and that's so important to have someone else even close to you that's operating on that level or operating above you. Because if you were the biggest fish here, you'd probably move. You'd probably be like, all right, I'm done with this town. Let's go somewhere else because it's just a bunch of plebs and I got all these epic brain deals. And it's just like, that's not inspiring. That's not going to push you.
Yeah, that's really what I love about DC. There's always people doing more than me for me to look up to and to support even. I love being able to support other people. And that's how I ended up in Gurla too, because...
Perfect. That was one of the things I was going to bring up.
It all, like, it really came right on time, and it was something that we didn't even realize how much it was needed until we did it.
Can you talk about what it is? Because I to this day, I still have a very fathom of an idea of what it is. I see it literally everywhere, but I don't know what it is or what it does. Like, could you please explain that?
I feel like I love that about us, actually, that you can't. That's my favorite part, because I can't fully explain it. Like, we're trying to get to what we are trying to do, but I think we're doing it, and it shouldn't be defined.
Well, if I was to look at it and be like, someone's like, yo, Bruce, what do you think? Or I'd be like, yeah, it's like either women empowerment or Black women empowerment. But at the end of the day, it feels like woman-centric, like a woman-centric collective.
That's exactly what we started out as.
Hey.
We really started out as a party. And that's when I came on, was to show my work at the party and then to see if I wanted to stay involved with it. And yeah, DJ Damo, she hit me up. We didn't even really know each other that well. We had worked with each other like once in the past, but she told me what it was about. And I've never been one to work with other people in that kind of capacity or to say I'm a part of something. I'm very independent with my work, but I wanted to be a part of something bigger than me. And I wanted to be able to support causes and themes and messages that I felt strongly about without making it about my work or my art or whatever it was. And so when she told me about what it was, something just told me like, this is where you should go. This is what you should do. So I did the first party, and it was like amazing.
What was the theme of the first party? Was it just like an art party? What was
it? It was just like a party. Like, it was a diet when it was still open on U Street.
Oh, nice.
We had like a giant plywood board with my Prince wheat pasted on it. And
nice.
It was like rosé and like.
So it was like a party that Damo just completely just created.
She put it together, and like the theme was a safe space and really about respect. And it wasn't just for women at all, but it was definitely women centric. We had women DJs, and we sold out. It was packed.
Wow.
And it was men and women in there, and it was a beautiful party. It was so smooth. It was comfortable. I didn't feel like people were being creepy. I didn't feel uncomfortable with anything, and I just really liked the message behind it. And
is that because you think party culture is creepy? Like generic club culture? Was that what that was? It was kind of like a stance against this creepy sort of twerk on me girl, or I don't know. I'm not really a part of that stuff anymore. But whenever I'm in like those clubs, I feel so just
this is nasty.
Like what you want? You're gonna go mount this girl and like not even ask her. I don't know.
It's just so many little things that go into the creepiness of party culture. But I think for us, it was more so of creating a party that was for people like us who are creatives. And, you know, DC is all about events and parties, but we're always interested in like creatively spun parties, you know, like we don't all just go to the club. We need everything in one place. There needs to be art. There needs to be a DJ. There needs to be drinks. So you have a balance.
That is big facts. That's how I approach all my parties now. I've been getting into party production. And if you don't have all those things, it's kind of like, well, what's going on here?
No one's going to care because that's just the culture that we have here. And it's beautiful because that's just a testament to who's in the city, because we need more than just partying and dancing. Like, we want a value behind it. We want to take away something without having to do like the idea of like going to the museum, you know, which is so simple and boring for people. But we found a way to bring that into nightlife, which I think is great. And that's how I started showing my work, was parties, like house parties, whatever. They wanted to have art, and I didn't really get it. But I was like, yeah, I mean, this makes sense for me.
I mean, these days it feels like art shows are essentially just art parties. Like,
exactly.
It's no longer just, a party and a boombox playing. And it's like, no, it's like, if you're gonna have something, it's like an art show / party / turn up, but there's really good art on the walls.
Exactly.
So that's interesting how that's how you started like that.
Yeah, and it made sense to me, just like how art and business made sense to me. It was like things that work well together and allow you to bring different people together, because I like the idea of being in like a gallery show when I was starting out. One, I couldn't get into any. I didn't even know how. It wasn't even like anywhere near me.
Seems like a whole different planet.
Yeah, and it was just like, even the idea behind it, just thinking about like stuffy, fancy, like, I mean, even though that's not really how gallery shows have to be, that's just the idea that was behind it. And I feel like a lot of people avoid living that kind of life because they don't want to be in that type of environment. So I liked that we could bring it together and make it something that was true to the community. So even my own first art show I had, it was called Tropathon, and I rented an Airbnb in like Mount Pleasant, and it was an art party. And I literally just painted stuff, and I took all the art off the walls in the Airbnb and put my art up, had a DJ, had a bar, and it was exactly how I would want an art show. Like, I couldn't imagine not having it be a party too. Like, why wouldn't you party to celebrate the art? Yeah. You know, it just made sense to me. So, I mean, I got kicked off Airbnb because of it, but it was worth it.
Yo, honestly, you're going to get me kicked off Airbnb because that's what I'm about to do. I've been looking for new venues. Like, that's a genius idea.
Yo, you might have better luck than me now, because back then they were just like, it was over. They still won't let me on.
Damn, are you serious?
Yeah, I don't care though. I got hotels.
Yeah, right. You're like, I don't need you $100 basement. Like, all that shit.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the place that I even got at the time could have been bigger, but I digress. But yeah, like, I like that.
How do you feel about art galleries now? Are you still kind of like about the art galleries?
I like them still. I think they're important to have, but I don't feel like I need them.
Do you feel like art galleries kind of discriminate on your style of art? Because I feel like your art is not art gallery centric. Like, your art might be categorized as street art.
Yeah. I think the fact that they try to categorize it is the issue.
Or urban,
yeah,
which is even worse.
Yeah, like, my art could easily be hanging in a gallery and I could have a big fancy show. But if there's even a gallery that would consider me and then think, oh, it's not fitting, then I don't want that, because that's not how I see my work. So I'd rather be in an environment that is accepted and it's celebrated than to try to get into another environment. Like, I'm big on things coming to me. So I really don't, honestly, I don't reach out for a lot of anything, any of my projects, any of my work. I just put my personal work out there and I share what I do, and then I let the right things come to me that fit that and that want that.
I hope who's ever listening just wrote that down, because that is essentially how I built my career too.
That's how it has to be, because one thing for me is, like, I'm not going to compromise on my work. It's too important to me, and I'm too sensitive an artist to have somebody, like, I reach out to want to work with them and then they try to, like, act like they don't really want it, or they want to change things. I don't want that. I want someone to come to me excited, just like I'll be excited to work with them and to really get what I want to make out of it. And if not, there's plenty of other artists to work with. Like, you don't have to come to me.
Of course.
So I never feel like I'm losing out in that sense. And I really do think any creative should move like that. Not like, too much of an arrogance level in the beginning, because you got to kind of be humble.
Yeah, but now you have leverage.
Yeah, you got to, find your ground in it. And the whole point of growing is to be able to do more of what you want, So it's a balance of having that. So going back to Gurla, that's what I loved about it, was the atmosphere that I was able to put my work into, and just the message behind it, because there was nothing else like it going on. Like, nothing was just supporting women, or even just bringing that idea to people's minds.
What idea?
That women aren't being as celebrated or having as many opportunities in the creative field. Because as an artist, of course, when I came in, like, the type of art I wanted to make and the scenes that I wanted to get into were male dominated 100%. It was all streetwear, street art, things like that, all male. And even now, I mean, really, still very male dominated.
Why do you think that is? Do you think it's like a weird natural thing, or do you think it's
I think that's just what people see when they think of street art. So when they go to find artists, it's like you're trying to fit that description in a sense. And it's not to say that men don't make amazing art. I mean, there's so many men that I look up to and what they do in their work. But I don't think that it should come down to gender. Even for me as an artist, I am a female Black artist, but I do not create work in that sense. Of course, my work reflects the messages that I care about and the values and the representation, because that's who I am.
Exactly.
But I'm just an artist.
Yeah.
And when you start saying like you're a female artist or you're a Black artist, it's a way to categorize what you do and how and where it comes from. I don't like that. I think there shouldn't be gender or race when it comes to work. You should be you who makes art that obviously reflects you, but it shouldn't define you. So
in a way, even your name kind of speaks against that trap Bob. That could
people
be
think I'm a man all the
time.
Dude,
yeah.
Yeah, all the time, and I love it too because
it helps you when you don't even expect. I'm not gonna lie, it probably is like, oh, it's Bob. Yeah, sure, it's good.
Exactly. I'm like, I'll go to stuff even, and people will be talking to me about me, and they don't even realize it's me.
No way, really?
Yeah, they really like are confused. Like I see the reaction in their face, and it's just funny because I like that because even though I'm trying to represent women, I'm still like, I don't want you to think you know what you're gonna get. So I love having that little upset too, you know, even like, that's why I like changing my hair color so much and stuff. Like, I just like to be like an enigma. I don't want anything to define me except my art. It's very important to me. So every way I can find to do things that go more in that direction, I do. And then, you know, Gerla, the timing was perfect. The girls were amazing. And they were also people that I looked up to and helped me grow. And I helped them grow. And we really had like a special bond. And then we turned into like, now we're an agency.
Yeah, because looking at it now, I'm like, how the hell did this start? Because now it seems like this really big collective, and it's just an agency. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, like we do a lot of panels. We do a lot of collaborations with events where we'll bring in speakers or we'll bring in DJs. All my art shows are all Gerla shows. Like I put Gerla into everything I do. I mean, we did stuff at the Hirshhorn for their students, an art lab. We've done festivals. We have a podcast too.
Oh, no way. That's awesome.
We have.
But it's all, at the end of the day, like the core of it is women empowerment.
Yeah, and supporting the creative community too. But, you know, from a standpoint of women have that eye and that voice that we need to focus on too for our community, not just for women. Okay. I mean, in general, of course, as a woman, I might be biased, but I think women are very important to everything, every aspect, every view. We can't really say we know what's going on if we don't know women's perspective on it. So I think that even though we're women-centric, it's really just about everybody and trying to get everybody to be in accord. I
mean, women and men's perspective are all equal, but it's kind of funny at the end of the day. It's like the women's opinion kind of matters a little bit more. I'm not gonna lie.
We're intuitive, you know?
If my homie was like, yo, the outfit looks dope, and a girl's like, yo, your outfit looks trash, I'd be like, I'm gonna trust her opinion a little bit more on this one. You know,
she'd probably be able to explain it a little better too. So.
Yeah.
It's just like that balance. And I mean, like I said, I support everybody. It's not about gender, but there's a magic with women, especially Black women. And being able to work with all of them is like, there's never been anything that felt so right other than when I started doing art. It just made so much sense. And
like you working with the whole Gerla collective.
Yeah, and what we do and our message is so transparently authentic. That's what I love about it, because I'm not, you know, fishy in any way. Like, I'm very straightforward with what I do and why I do it.
And looking at it, it seems like DJ Domo is kind of like the figurehead of it.
Yeah, she's a founder.
She's a founder too.
Yeah, she's a founder. She got all of us together with the idea. She really I mean, I could go on and on about how great she is, but she's really focused and driven about what she wants to do. And we've both been able to really grow together as freelancers and creatives. And it's such an important relationship to have, not only working together, but even becoming friends now out of all of that. It's so great to have other people, like we were saying earlier, that are going through what I go through or deal with the things. Because when I started out, I didn't have anyone around me. Most of my friends were like from when I was young and from college, and we all went in different directions. And that's not to say that their friendships weren't important, but it's also important to have people who understand what you're going through.
Exactly.
So luckily I've been able to collect like a good amount of artists and creatives with me that understand what I'm going through and I can vent to and support, and we can, you know, do whatever it is. But with everything, it's a balance.
It's so important, that support system for for you as an artist when you're really going through like awesome and positive changes, but being able to weigh that on someone and talk to someone about it, because you can't talk to your old friend Karen from accounting about this PBR brand deal you just got. Like she has no idea, and her perspective is so different. It's operating a whole different level than when you're talking about.
Real, like someone who actually understands what went into that whole thing. Like, of course, anyone who's not in it, all my friends are supportive of what I do. Even my parents, they did not understand what I was doing when I started out. And honestly, I had to fight with them.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. You said that they were like kind of immigrant mentality. I could see how that's a huge deal.
They're very accepting, and they're very, they believe in me and they trust me because they know how dedicated I am to things. So it was a whole transition we went through when I started deciding to get into art. But I was like,
I can imagine.
I just was like, I'm not asking. I'm telling you guys, this is what I'm doing.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to show you that I'm going to be fine. I'm going to take care of myself. And they know how much I love it, and they 100%, like, they are my biggest fans. They probably overshare everything I do, like every article, every interview. My whole family has my like logo stickers on their phones.
Oh, that's
like,
awesome.
It's like they're so supportive, but they definitely didn't understand what I was doing at first.
Yeah.
Until I started getting into the like company names that they had heard of, like Apple.
Yeah, parents never understand until they like have to, until they can. It's like a big deal. Oh, what? You're doing what?
Yeah, like it needs to be on their level of understanding. So if you're not in that field, it's hard to get what it is, but you can still be excited and support. So they get excited. Some of the stuff, they're just like, oh, okay. And like for me, it's a big deal. And I'm like whatever, man.
Don't you hate that when you tell someone about something and it's like, no, this is a huge opportunity. Like, okay, yeah, it's fine. Like, no, I want you to ask me about it so I can talk about that shit. Come on.
Yo, I'm like, that's why I just go tell my cats. Like, I never feel bad about their reaction. They're just still like blinking at me. And I'm like, you get it.
How many cats you got?
2.
Oh, that's awesome.
And they were born on my birthday. They're my everything.
Holy shit. No way. How does that work out?
I have no idea. I've been a biggest cat hater my whole life too. I've literally been a dog person. I slandered cats my whole life until like I got them like 2 years ago. My dog passed out of age, and I went out of the country and I came back, and my mom's coworker had a cat that had kittens and didn't have anywhere to put them. And my mom was like all sentimental about our dog. So she's like, we'll just get another pet. And I saw them and I was like, well, I started with one, but then the brother needed a home too. Then they both ended up coming, and then I was like, okay, I just love them now.
That's so much better. Cats you should have 2 of every animal. If you're gonna have a pet, you should have 2. I've always thought that.
Because then I didn't realize it until I got them too. But it was like healthy for them to have each other. And now it's just like they can go play with each other and leave me alone.
No, you make me miss my cat. I got a cat as well.
See, you get it.
No, I get it. Honestly, I was on the same side. My first pet was like a dog, and I had him forever. And I was like, oh, fuck cats.
Yeah.
But then just randomly when I was in college, this girl I was dating, her coworker had a cat.
That's always how it happens.
And like it needed to be babysat, but she was out of town and I was in town, and I was just like, all right, let me watch this kid for the weekend. And I just fell in love with that cat. And by the end of the weekend, I was like, yeah, this guy's not getting his cat back. And luckily he didn't want his cat back. So I kept it.
But they're just so easy. Like I think that I literally realized that they have just a bad reputation.
Dude, cats?
That's from the ancient times. Like,
what?
Way back. Like they are.
Cats were worshipped,
in
though.
this country, I mean.
Oh, in this country.
They are seen as like street rats. Like they're like treated like they just, even like black cats. Yeah. My cat is black. One of them's black, one of them's tabby. No, I don't like that. They're amazing.
They don't sell black cats like during Halloween. They won't sell you a black cat. Like it's like an off limits thing.
Because they try to kill them.
Is that what it is?
People kill black cats. It's that deep. That's what
Weird superstition.
That's what I've like learned now that I've had cats. So I'm like, they're so simple. They're easy I can work, and they sit on my laptop, but they mind their business.
Cats are the artist's best pet. I 100%.
I 100% believe that. I mean, I love seeing an artist with a dog. It's cute.
But that dogs are
struggling. Yeah. You can't get anything done.
You can't.
At least the cat, like, I mean, they're going to bother you at some point. Like I said, sit on your laptop most of the time.
Oh, yeah. I've had that happen so many times. Just walks across and you're like, no.
Every
what button do you even hit? I don't even know.
They've changed my design sometimes. Now, sometimes I let it rock. But for the most part, they take care of themselves.
Yeah.
Because when I think about having a dog, I'm like, no. I don't have it in me anymore.
No, because when you're working and you have one dog, the dog is literally sitting there looking at you.
Yes.
Like it's just staring you in the face and you're just like, stop looking at me.
It needs attention all the time. And it deserves attention. Dogs deserve all the attention, just not mine. I can't give it all the time.
Have you noticed like the single working woman phenomenon of getting dogs, like replacing their kids with dogs?
And they bring it to the office.
Such a DC thing. I feel like it's such a DC thing where these
it's a gentrification
like late
thing.
20s women get dogs instead of having families. I see it everywhere.
They just like, I mean, I feel like it might not even be instead of families, but it feels good to have something, you know, like with anyone having a pet, like something to love when you know that you can't handle a whole family at the moment. Like me, I'm like about to be 28, kids and like taking care of stuff. Not that I don't want it and love it. It's just the timing. Like I have too many things I need to do and work on and my focus is somewhere else. So the idea of going into that versus like getting a pet that's an easy decision.
Do you find it's hard to maintain a dating life while being so driven and focused?
Oh yeah. It's like, I can't.
Really?
I just can't.
Like you're just like,
my
nah.
priorities, that's what it is. You know, it just all comes down to priorities. And I mean, I think there's a lot of things that I don't think about at this age just because I know that I have so many things to work on. Like I've like, you know, been in relationships and dated and it's great, of course. I think love is very, very, very important. You know, I love love, but the timing of it is where it's like hard to find that balance of, because I can care about somebody, but I care about my art more than anything.
Right.
So if I need to work,
balance, right?
Yeah. So the way I feel is like, I'd rather not put somebody through that. You know, if I honestly know that it's really not, it's going to be hard.
Especially if they have a normal life.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to hate me.
Then it's even harder.
Yeah.
They don't understand.
They would hate me. Even like my friends. I mean, luckily my friends support everything I do and they understand my schedule and how I work. So I don't have to worry about, you know, if they feel neglected or what have you. But when you like in a relationship, that's a whole nother thing. So I'm not even going to hurt nobody like that.
It's like, you already know, it's like, I'm dealing with all this stuff. And then you want my time, but really I'm already thinking about what I'm going to do with my time to create. It's like, God damn it.
And I have no time. Like, no time.
It's hard because I feel like in your 20s is like that time when, especially someone doing what we're doing, it's like you have to be dedicated, and it's so hard to balance that and love and relationship because it's like, it's like, do I sacrifice now for my future happiness? It's like it's like this weird balancing act.
Even balancing like a social life,
right?
Like just with friends, it's hard. Like I try to even go out in the city as much as I can and support everyone, because like I said, in DC, like everybody's doing stuff all the time. It literally, there's no downtime. So it's like, if I'm not working on something, then everybody else is working on something and I want to support them. But then I'm like, I need to do my work because I'm not doing anything now. And it's like a constant battle. I never feel like I have free time. It's like, I'm just.
That's a good problem. Like that's honest, like a blessed problem is like the fact that free time is wasted time in a way.
Yeah, no, I don't even like the idea of being bored. I haven't felt like that since I was in college.
Right.
Since I started art, I've never felt bored because there's always something to do. I probably should learn how to rest a little more, but I'm like, there's always more work to do. There's always more that I want to create or explore, or like I always tell myself in my downtime, I'm going to learn more mediums or, you know, whatever. Because I taught myself everything. So it's not.
Really? You're all self-taught?
Yeah. So I feel like there might have been things that I missed, you know, because I just kind of learned and made, like kind of went along with it versus getting the full foundation. So even like Illustrator, I taught myself that first after painting. And then maybe like 2 years ago, I went back and I did like a YouTube class or Linda or something just to look at the basics. I learned so many shortcuts and like things that I'm just like, wow, this whole time I've been struggling and I could have done it this way. So I try to like revisit everything.
Command Z, it's all you need to know.
That was the first one I learned.
Shift Command S.
That's the main thing.
That's probably
then
the most
I started
important
learning
one.
shape building and like converting points in certain ways. And the way I had to learn it was so hard because I just was playing around.
I'm not going to lie. I find that doing something creative, it's nice not to know the weird school fundamentals. I feel like that fucks you up. Like, I feel like it hinders you more than it hurts you.
It changes you. Yeah. Like I'm actually thankful that I didn't go to school for art because I don't think I would be making stuff the way I am now.
You'd be in this box in your mind, like, oh, if I make this, I can only do this. Like you would have these weird set parameters of what is an artist supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Instead, I feel like I started from what I wanted to make, and then I've learned how to through the mediums.
Like just figuring it out.
Yeah, just figuring out how to get to what I was trying to do versus trying to do what I was trying to do properly, you know? And it's adapted like throughout my style. It's all changed. I didn't even feel like I really got a style until like last year. And I still don't really know if it's...
Nah, you definitely have a style. I mean,
it comes out naturally, I think. That's what I learned.
It's like this weird Lisa Frank. No, I'm just kidding. No, but your style is very like, it's color heavy, bold lines, usually driven around a person, like some sort of person is in there, whether it's like a body part or a person.
Yeah.
I don't really see much
some
objects
type of like
in it.
subject. Yeah. I keep my work really simple because I'm really bad at like deciding sometimes with my work. And that's why I like freelancing a lot, because if I can get a message or a theme to go from or concept, it's like easier for me versus when it's just me coming up with stuff. I really get lost in possibility and I might not ever finish.
Your art's really approachable too. Like it's very digestible for people who don't know shit about art. Like
yeah, I want it to be. And that's a big thing for me. I want a lot of people to connect with it because I think art will save the world. And for that to happen, everybody needs to be able to understand it.
How's your art going to save the world?
I have no idea. I'm just going to keep making it. That's like how I think of it. I'm like, art is so indefinitive. That's even a word.
Well, you just did a Kobe piece that I thought was beautiful. Yeah. It was honestly, of all the Kobe pieces I've seen, it was probably one of my favorite ones. I thought that's
great to hear.
I thought it was really good.
And that's why it's so great for me to be able to like do things that are on trend and on time because while everyone's dealing with this tragedy, you know, for you to be able to see like maybe an artist you really like make a piece dedicated to it or just celebrate it is something that, you know, can bring warmth to your heart and help you deal with it. And for me, it helps me deal with it. Anytime, if I'm dealing with anything, even a person, something I'm upset about, something I'm excited about, making an illustration is how I do it. So for me to be able to share that and have other people connect with it and feel a little better when they see it is important. So like if we lose somebody or if it's a really funny trend that's going on, I want to be able to be the person that lets you connect with that situation in a creative way or like put a smile on your face when you're scrolling through Instagram or something.
Well, yours felt very authentic too. There were a lot of other artists creating Kobe inspired work. I was like,
Yeah, because I can't do that. Like Kobe means so much to me. And that whole thing really had me like shook. It took me a while to do that piece even because it was really hard to sit with it. And that's how I felt with the Nipsey piece I did too. It was really, really hard.
The Nipsey one was hard, but the Kobe one was even harder because it was like unexpected and out of his control. The Nipsey one, some party could be like, Nipsey, why are you out there like that? I mean,
it was just a tragedy.
I mean, they're both tragic, but the Kobe one specifically was like, whoa.
It was so just like, what? Like I was like in a diner in Oakland when I found out it happened. And everything just stopped. And then for it to be him and his daughter.
That was a crazy part. It was when he found that news out, I was like, I was just, dude, that is the worst.
It still doesn't feel real. And I just wanted to find a way to honor them the best way I could. And also like, you know, deal with it and process it. And I'm just glad my art could celebrate them.
Well, it gets weird because if someone wants to buy that from you, as an artist, it's a weird struggle. It's like, am I profiting off someone's death or am I comforting them? It's kind of a weird catch, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't really, when I make stuff like that, I don't even think about selling it. I mean, people have like mentioned making a candle, like I made the other candles, but I don't even want to get into the selling things. I'm not going to make money off of them. You know what I mean? Like I want people to have the candle to commemorate them, but I don't want any confusion on my intention with that, you know? So I'd rather just, you know, not do it. If somebody wanted to buy a print of it, you know, we'll figure it out and make it like, you know, just the cost of the printing or something. But it's not even, I don't need to make money off of somebody's loss. Like, it's not necessary. Art's supposed to just celebrate.
I agree. It's just always such a weird situation when it's like art after someone that's like, oh, can I sell it? Can I not sell it? Even like making a YouTube video about it. It's like, you know what you're doing. It's like you're clickbaiting, like you're getting things. But at the same time, you're kind of like, well, what if you were connected to that person?
Yeah, I mean, you can only do your best. That's how I see it.
But as an artist, it's so smart to remain relevant and on trend because I had SP the Plug on here. Do you know SP the Plug? Wow, I'm surprised. That actually is nice because it makes me know that DC's art scene is way bigger than it is.
Yeah, tell me, please, because I'm always trying to learn about new artists.
So he's a poppin' professional artist in this area. And he was saying that like the whole Nipsey Hussle thing, he stayed up like all night just painting that because it was one of his favorite artists. Even before then, he was like, I love Nipsey. So he painted it.
Yeah.
And he was telling me the story of how there was like a vigil next to where his gig was or something like that. So he brought his piece to the vigil just to kind of be like, hey, you know, I want to show you. And he was telling me the story how literally one of his friends recognized him, and he's at the back of the crowd, and his friend was like, yo, you need to bring that to the front. And he was like, what? And he was like, follow me. And so literally he was telling the story of how he's walking through the crowd holding up the Nipsey Hussle painting, and literally he was like, people were parting like Moses.
Oh, that's so beautiful. See, art, man.
No, but check this out. So he gets to the front, and when he gets to the front, there were like a bunch of, like, I guess, famous people there or something, and someone bought it from him like right on the spot. And the guy was like, how much you want for it? And he was just like, 1,000. And the guy was like, sure. Boom, swiped him literally right there. But in my mind, I'm like, yes. I'm like, that is how artists need to survive and like live and hustle. Like that is a prime example.
I mean, even when things like that happen, like the best way people want to remember things, good or bad, is art.
Yeah.
They keep art to celebrate people who have gone, and they keep art to celebrate people who are great. There's always a way to do it. And I mean, as being an artist, there's a certain line where we're not really like, you might not be into it for the money, but it might make money. Like there's only so much you can put energy into. You worry about making the piece so much, then you're going to spend the same amount of time worrying about if you should sell it or if you should make a profit. Like if your intention is there, I think that's what matters.
Yeah.
And it's not about the technicality. So that's great. If he made $1,000 that night, more power to him, because now he can make more art.
Exactly.
And he can commemorate whoever comes next. So I don't feel like the artist making money off of their art is not what people should be worried about. Like, go worry about Amazon and all of them. Like, let the artist make some money.
Dude, I love the stickers around town that someone's been posting in Columbia Heights that says Jeff Bezos kills poor people for profit. It's the funniest shit. It makes me laugh so much.
They got the area shook up. People are upset.
People are wild in this area about stuff like that. It's so crazy because it's such like a social activist art town.
Yeah, it is.
That is like art.
That's something I learned about myself. I think last year I did a interview or a panel or something, and they were talking to me about being an activist and an artist, and then one of the artists used the term artivist.
Ooh, I don't.
Which I was like, I didn't like the term, but it made me think about the fact that they go together, and I realized that I'm an activist artist in a sense, and I didn't even try, because it was just so. Like I say, my work is my reflection, and I'm big on representation and equality and treating people right, no matter what they look like. I've always hated discrimination since I was young for any reason. So automatically in my work comes out, that idea, and that made me start getting into activism and doing political art and stuff like that. And not by choice, but because of the way I got into it, I know that it was fitting and it made sense for me. So it's like, if I have this voice, that's what art is there for. We send messages and we represent, and it's iconic and it's remembered. And that's why I say art will save the world, because it's not something that is pinpointed or in a certain language. It covers everything, and it's visible, and it's readable to everybody. I mean, you can take your own message away from it, but even with politics, I always say I think art and politics is the most important thing, because you can spread your message and your values to your supporters without telling them what to believe. And that's like, I think that's the healthiest way to do politics.
I mean, look at the Shepard Fairey Obama.
It's exactly what I was picturing while I was saying
like,
this.
Literally,
that's
that was one of the most influential changing things of pieces of art for maybe a decade. Like, that was insane. Like how impactful that was.
And that's just one example of how.
Haven't you done work for Elizabeth Warren though?
Yes.
What was that like?
That was great.
What was
I still
that project?
Can't believe
Can
it.
I ask about that? Like, about that?
I still can't believe that they hit me up. Like,
they just hit you up in like the email?
Yeah.
Wow.
They just contacted me, and I was like,
please break this down. I'm so curious.
I was like, you know who you're emailing? Like, this is what I mean is like, when I be my authentic self, I don't know who's going to accept or deny that. So to be like contacted by these big people and companies is crazy to me, because I'm really being myself.
Is some part of you like in disbelief when you get those emails?
Yeah, all the time.
Are you like, is this real?
I still can't. I'm trying to tell you, a lot of stuff I did last year, I don't believe that it happened. Like, I'm just here like, yeah, it says that, but I don't think about it in that sense. It's like hard to process.
Yeah.
But they contacted me, and they just loved my work, and the message I had behind it. They wanted to make Instagram stickers, which are like my favorite thing to make. So much fun.
Ooh.
And they just wanted to get like her message and her kind of essence out to her supporters. Mm-hmm. And I'm big on, like I said, art with politics. You really get your message there, and you can be a supporter and show support through art without being like, this is who I'm voting for. This is why, listen to me. It's just a natural way to get to people. So we really just like made stickers that were about how energetic she is and how much she supports her supporters and how available and open she is. And I mean, they came out great. Like they made T-shirts out of them and onesies.
What were the stickers you made? Like what they
One
look
of
like?
them was like her waving her arms, holding a bunch of papers, and they said plans. She's like, she has a plan for that. So that was like a big thing. And then we did a selfie line one because she's really infamous about doing these selfie lines with her supporters whenever she does.
A selfie line?
Yeah, like
What's a
all her
selfie
supporters at the end of her speeches, they'll just line up and she'll take a picture with every single person who lines up and waits for her.
Whoa.
She just takes selfies with everybody.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it was a great way to just show how much she cares. And the last one was a pinky promise she made with a young girl saying, I'm running for president because that's what women do. And I just loved that, of course.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I was like, it's the same messages that I spread. So it was easy to work with them. And it was very natural and honest project that we did together. And
that seems like fun.
Great.
It doesn't even seem like work.
Yeah.
Like, it honestly just seems like fun. And for someone who is thinking like, wow, she got paid to do it, it's like, yeah, it's because you sacrificed all that stuff beforehand to even be in that position. And people just see that like, when she's bragging, it's like, nah, it's like, you don't see everything else. Like you don't see all that stuff where you're like, you're willing to sleep in your car, but you're not now. But
exactly. It's not even about money for me at all. I mean, of course, like I have to pay rent and pay my studio rent and cover my business expenses, but growing as an artist and getting more exposure and opportunities just allows me to keep creating so that when projects come along that might not be a big budget, it's not about money for me. It's about if I want to do it. And I don't do things just for money because then my real passion and my mind won't be behind it. So even being involved in that and it to be a presidential candidate, that whole process went completely different than I would have thought. I wouldn't even think...
That's wild.
I wouldn't even think a presidential candidate would work with me. Like, my name is Trap Bob.
It makes me think of how she even found you. Like, who are her...
Oh, God. That's what I say. That's my agent. He be finding all my work for me, and it just comes.
You have an agent?
No, that's God. That's what I'm saying. He's the one. Like, he brings all the
damn,
work.
you got an agent? You're the first person I met with an agent in this city. Holy crap.
I need some help, man. I need someone to manage me, but...
Are you at that point now where you're thinking of like a manager or an agent or something like that?
Yeah, just to take work off of me.
Is it because
business-wise?
Is it because of the influx you're getting, or what is it?
Yeah, just I've found myself not being able to focus as much on the art creation. I'm more on the business side with projects and stuff.
Isn't that
it's a lot
weird?
of clerical work, and there's a lot of just things to keep up with that I can do because, I mean, like I said, I went to school for business and I've learned how to do it, but that's not why I'm having a freelance company. It's so that I can create art. So the more time that I have to create the art, the better my work will be and the more I can grow versus me spending all my time on my computer, emailing and stuff like that. But I don't know. Even that is hard for me to think of because I'm so independent about everything. I don't want to put somebody else through having to work with me. That's how I feel. I'm like, look, it might not go well for either of us.
But that's the thing that people don't think about. It's like as you get better and you get more recognition, you meet more people and you get more opportunities. In a weird way, and in an honest way, you have less time to be creative because now you have to send off that email or rough that draft, like make that draft or send that proposal. And by the end of the day, you're exhausted. You're like, I didn't even get to create or brainstorm or do what I got into this to do. It went from 80% to now 20%, and it's like,
yeah, I rarely get to draw, to be honest.
Really?
I rarely. I mean, it's like when there's a project and I need to create it, then that's when I start the creation process. But in between is a lot of catch up and just like business stuff. Just a lot of business stuff.
Like, I mean, even me, like I'm not nearly as successful as you. I'm on my way. But even now, like when I look at when I started photography and where I am now, I'm like, damn, I used to shoot like 3 times a weekend. Now I'm shooting like, and I'm talking about creative projects for myself. Yeah. And now I'm shooting like maybe like twice a month.
And that's what you realize it because I used to be just bored, no idea what to do, no idea where to go. And then I was just creating, and I was creating probably my best stuff, but I didn't know at the time. I just was like, I'm just like in a corner. Right. I don't know what to do with myself. And now I'm like, if I could only go back to those times.
Right? Like when it was just so simple.
Yeah, it was like, it seemed like I was struggling at the time, but really I was like learning what I needed to do. And then that's how I ended up here because clearly I learned what I needed to do. But it's always like grass is greener. Every time.
Right? Oh, God.
Artist life, creative life. It's like there's not a definitive way to do it.
Well, it's interesting having you here because on the range of people I've had in the podcast, you're top tier artist in DC, like arguably.
Thank you.
I know,
Still hard to believe, but thank you.
I know whether you want to believe it or not. Like when I look at the range of people, like as far as people who are public facing, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some people who are hidden who are probably making $30K a painting, but
yeah.
I don't see them and we don't know about them. But as far as people who are social forward and doing things, it's like you and like a handful of people are pretty much at the top, kind of vanguarding this DC art scene.
Yeah,
do you ever feel that?
I feel like that, of course, because it's like, you know, realistically, I know how much I'm out there and I'm working. And even though as an artist, it'd be easier to not be so public facing, you know, I'd probably get a lot more work done. But like I said, I don't feel defined by being an artist, that you should only be one way. And two, before I was even an artist, I've been a vocal leader by nature. I really can't help it. So now I feel like I'm just fully being who I am because I got the art involved in it too. So it's like a balance all the time. And I never feel like I'm doing it right. You know, like not in a way of beating myself up about it, but I'm always trying to find my balance and see what's going to get me where I think I need to be. And I realize it's not really about me thinking where I need to be. I'm just going to kind of end up where I need to be. So it's like being settled, but being hungry at the same time, all the time.
So do you have like a 5-year goal or some sort of, in the future, I want to look like this, or I want to have this? Is that like a thought in your mind?
Yeah, I think when I started out, I was a lot more small picture. I was thinking very like when you're a student, you just think of everything by the year. Can't really see past it. You know, you're like, next grade, like. But then now that I've really grown, I'm starting to get much more about my bigger picture because, I mean, my thing with big picture was like, I don't like the broadness of it. I think people lose sight of the details you have to put in to get to that big picture. So I still focus on the now and what I'm doing and what I'm going to do to get to that big picture. But yeah, now I'm looking like 5-10 years. Like I want to have a gallery in DC somewhere.
Oh, really?
Like a gallery.
Like white wall gallery.
Yeah, like fancy. And then I'll have my studio on the back so I don't have to leave because I hate leaving where I work.
That's interesting considering you're like, I don't really care for them.
Yeah, because I'm just like, I didn't care for them because I didn't like the way that the entry process and the alienation of it. So I want to create a space for people like me. And for people who were like me at that time in their career and they don't know where to go. So I want to be like a resource for the community. And also just to have like real estate in DC and not let gentrification take everything away from the people who are really here.
That'd be so important if you owned that space that you were like, if you owned that gallery, then all of a sudden it's a whole different talk because it's
now they have to deal with me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm here to stay. And I mean, even if I end up spending time in other cities or other countries or whatever, this will always be my home.
Do you think you'll ever move away? Like even if you don't want to, but like let's say you get to a point where like, damn, I have to be in LA or New York. You think
I would
like
do short term.
Okay.
I'm all about like a warm winter. You know, like I'm
get out of the cold.
For that New York, might as well stay in DC. That's how I feel.
Yeah,
I love New York though. It's great.
But those winters are harsh.
I'm dealing with enough here, but I mean, for work, like I'll go anywhere. That's what I love about, you know, my work is I can work anywhere and I love traveling, but home, this will always be home for sure. Yeah.
What, and let me see what time it is real quick. All right, cool. The DC art scene, it's a really interesting time right now. Like it feels like a volcano under the ocean surface. Like it feels... Wait, what are you gonna say?
No, that's seriously. It's like an eruption's about to happen.
No, I feel like everyone can feel it, and I feel like I don't know when or what it's gonna be, or if it's gonna be Gerla really putting on the map, if it's gonna be Ger's Pirate putting on the map, if it's gonna be maybe me, you know, like or whoever it might be. But like
we're all gonna do it together for real. That's where it's getting.
It feels like this is like a point in time, and it's so weird to even call it out because you shouldn't do that when it's happening. But like, it feels like it's a point in time where people are going to look back and be like, yo, that was the shit in DC. Like that was when it was New York at its prime. Like now New York is like, it's fucking New York. It's done. It's over with. But people are gonna look at this point in time like, yo, like that was the liberating art scene in DC.
Yeah, and that's why I call it a renaissance, because it's really, and it's hard to even, for us to claim it and to put a finger on it. But I look at how the other cities got to where they are, and I'm like, we do need to pinpoint it. We do need to claim it and say, this is what we're doing. You need to see what we're doing. Like, if you don't know what's going on in DC, you're missing out.
Yeah.
That's how people need to see it, because that is what's happening. And I think the only reason it's not like erupted and really bubbled up is because we don't really know what to do with it. We've never been in this position.
Yeah.
And a lot of people who are at the forefront have also been growing with the city and never dealt with anything like this before. So we don't always know how to go about it. But even like the Sweetgreen and Uber Eats dinner that we did.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that.
That is literally, that's what, when they approached me about the project, I told them things like this is what the city needs, because we need to celebrate. We need to be celebrated. We need to be acknowledged by the real world and the whole country, not just DC. We need to have these companies that want to come in and have us be wined and dined just because we're doing so good. Like New York and LA, that shit happens every week.
That's normal for
all
them.
the time. Yeah.
Normal.
And I'm sick of it. We should have that. Like, we work hard. We create, we are inspired, and it's going to take things like, that night where we all just came together and got to have a dinner party.
Yeah, that was a really interesting night.
Beautiful.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was so beautiful.
Was
like, to look around the room, it was just like, I don't even know, like, it's crazy to me that I'm even like hosting stuff like that, like, but for me, it was just more about being able to put on a celebration for everybody else, because I know that that's what we deserve. And even though I'm starting to understand that mentality, I know it's hard for other people to get that idea here in the city, to think of ourselves on that level, that this is the kind of stuff we go to. This is the kind of stuff we do. This is the way we get to be celebrated. We're not just like a creative because we call ourselves a creative. We're being acknowledged by others from the outside, and coming together and being able to be with other people who maybe we don't know or haven't worked with or whatever. It was just the first step, I think.
Well, it's interesting when companies like Uber and Sweetgreen start doing stuff like that, because we are such a new and young market for stuff like that, that it makes me question whether or not motives and stuff like that. It makes me think about, like, okay, what are their motives here? Like, what, like, when I think about that event, like, what did they get out of that?
Yeah, I mean, and this is something like I've learned as I do these type of projects, what the point of them is and where the motivation comes from. And I've really learned that, motivation can change from company to company. Obviously, they're trying to make money. But this is what companies do when they see things moving and they see things happening. They jump on trend, And not to say that what's happening here is a trend, but DC is on its way, and it's definitely getting recognition. And with Sweetgreen being local, and then on top of that, you have Uber Eats, this giant company, it was smart of them to jump on doing that, because I haven't seen anyone else do anything like that.
I haven't seen it either. Unless you're like a certified influencer or blogger in your bio, no one's really activating the art scene like that.
No, because they don't even know where it is.
They pulled the real people. They pulled you and Amir as the two head people, which I was like, that's accurate. Yeah. And then everyone else there, I was like, everyone here is really cool and doing really cool stuff.
Yeah. Even I've never even worked with Amir before, like I knew of him, he knew of me, but for us to be able to like host that and have our friends and like colleagues come together, it's great, because the creative scene is so undefined. It takes moments like that where we get to define it for a night, or we get to say, these are people who need to be celebrated no matter where they are in their career. It doesn't matter. People are doing their work. People are creative. People are talented, and we need to highlight it. And in any form that is, whether it's like getting a gift in the mail or having a full, dinner and drinks and stuff like that. I think that those things are important, because for me, even like self-care is a huge thing for me with my work.
Really?
I probably spend more time taking care of myself than I do on my work, because.
What do you mean, like what do you consider taking care of yourself?
Like just like things like maintenance. Like I'm big into exercise. I'm big into health with food and skincare, hair care. Like every single thing that can make you feel good is the things that I put my priority into, because
his nails are popping.
Yeah, I need to fill them. But those things are what make me do my best work. Because I truly believe when I'm at my best, I make my best stuff. And the reason that I'm where I am now is because I'm so focused on taking care of myself all the time. So when it comes to things like celebrating, even just doing like just fancy shit for no reason, like I want to do that because I want to feel good, and then I'll make more good work. Like I'm all about like spas, facials, massages.
That
like
stuff is so fun. It's so
yeah,
good. Oh.
yeah. Sometimes like I'll just be bougie for no reason, just because it makes me feel like successful and at that level of whatever it is. So not everyone's on that same page. A lot of times when you're on your way, you don't feel like you deserve those things.
True.
Something that I learned about myself. And it comes again back to that whole like not fake it till you make it, but feel like you are what you want to be. And I think that treating yourself like that will make you feel like you are that at that level.
Yeah, I mean, you can't be eating like shit and looking like shit and making great art.
And then wait until you're successful to take care of yourself.
Yeah, it's like
that's crazy.
It doesn't make sense. It's like, no, you how about you look good and feel good doing it, because you'll probably have more energy.
You'll do better work.
And you will do better work.
Yeah, because you'll start making work at that level. You'll start treating yourself at that level. Like I treat myself like a star. For real.
Okay.
Like to be honest, not in like a, conceited way everyone else should treat me. But like that's how I see myself, because that's where my level of work is, and that's how I want to be. So to have that dinner, to put it together for people that might not think like that, was important to me.
No, that dinner felt good. In a weird way, it felt like validation.
And you see what I mean? It makes you be like, oh, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to walk out with like my back a little straighter or something, like to be confident in myself, because this is the type of rooms I'm being in. Like anytime I get an opportunity to be in atmospheres that might not be where I think I am, I always do.
You can just move it like that.
Yeah, I always like, I'll find any reason to be in an atmosphere that I'm not comfortable in or haven't been in before.
No, but you're right though. Like I definitely felt left there feeling like, damn, like that. Finally, like some recognition, like that felt cool to be recognized by a huge company like Uber and a huge local company like Sweetgreen. I was like, they're finally recognizing us, or me in general, and just that look from the public side, it makes us look cooler from the public facing side. Whether or not they're using us to get some kind of weird content they're going to use to market for their look, we're hip and cool, we're Uber and Sweetgreen. But
I'm like, I don't care, man.
It's like, that's fine. You know what? I felt real good, and I got to eat for free, and everyone thinks I'm a little cooler now, so whatever.
That's all it is. Like at the end of the day, like I said, marketing is marketing. People are going to make their money. They're going to do it.
Yep.
But why not have us feel good and be a part of it and highlight DC?
It would be a sad mindset to have been invited to something like that and be like, no, I'm an artist. Fuck big corporation.
Yeah, this is what I mean.
And
this is my
that's
big
an easy
thing.
mindset for some artists to get into.
Yeah, because they put themselves in the box of what an artist should be. So they're losing the opportunities of the commerciality of it, or getting more exposure, because you're trying to like stay in this like dark artist box.
Right.
And I don't feel like that. And I think I'm able to think like that because I don't think of myself coming from that traditional mindset of being an artist. I kind of fell into it already thinking what I think. And not to say that there's a way to get into art, but I will say that the way I got into it allowed me to think outside the box. And I'll never feel like I'm defined. I just take things as they come. If I feel like something's a good opportunity or a good step, I'll do it. And I don't only think about myself. I think about the community and the people that I work with and what I want to see in the future. So the idea that there might be someone out there like me when I was younger, not knowing what they're going to do, but really they have this talent and this drive that they never got to take seriously, like that's what I do it for. I want them to see me and be like, maybe I should think about the things I actually like right now and put more energy and commitment into them.
I like a lot what you stand for, because you're proof that it doesn't have to be some willy-nilly artist life. Like you're very thought out.
Oh yeah.
Like your whole career has been very, like you went to a business school, and like it feels like you're very smart and not, I hate to say calculated, but it's in a nice way.
It ended up being calculated.
Yeah,
because I didn't do it on purpose. I fell into everything because I fell into stuff because I never felt passionate about things until art. So then when art came, it was like the last piece that made everything make sense that I was doing. Because I did every other type of activity you could do as a kid, like sports, instruments. I was very serious with dance like throughout high school, but nothing was ever like what I loved. But those things helped me be better at what I do now. Like I was even like a salesperson, like at Nordstrom.
every person should work a sales job or
Seriously,
customer service job at some point in their life.
For real, it made a difference because I use those same type of things now as an artist, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's definitely like, I have the art skill, of course, but there's so many other factors that make me a good artist than
relationships. That is the biggest thing that I'm like, okay, it's like relationships, deadlines, and good art.
Yeah.
You'll probably be pretty successful if you just think about those three things enough.
Yeah, that's it. Like knowing when to not give yourself the excuse of being an artist and being like moody or like flaky about things.
Oh, the flaky artist is the worst person. I hate working with those people. I don't work with them again.
And I feel like that's why I get a lot of the work I do is because I have that reputation of being very on top of things, always on deadlines, very good at communication. Like all the things that would make a good business, I apply to being an artist. So it's worked out.
You should open up the Trap Bob Business School for Artists. That'd be fire program.
Yo, look, I gotta get Lisa Frank to come in and be one of the professors. Oh, that'd be crazy.
Is Lisa Frank alive?
Yeah.
She is?
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to...
Do you know
they're still going.
You know she looks like and everything too?
Mm-hmm. I mean, she's older.
Yeah, she gotta be old as hell.
But she's a queen.
I'd be curious if there's a documentary about her.
I think that there is actually. And she doesn't ever show herself either.
Yeah, I've never seen her face.
I don't think she even in the documentary shows her face.
I feel like she's hot. I feel like she has.
She's an attractive white woman.
Right? I feel like she'd be hot. I don't know.
She is. Even at this age, she is. Yeah.
I mean, I would do it for the culture. Lisa Frank. I'd be like, yeah, that's what's up.
She's a queen, man. She's top tier. Like, that's what you're trying to get at.
Dude, she deserves recognition, man. I love people like that. So you don't think about them, but man, were they impactful for like millions of kids.
Powerful. I just hope people like think of me like that at that age.
I mean, I think
not more.
I think one day they will. Who knows how this is all going to turn out?
I know.
We're all in our 20s trying to figure it out in this crazy political driven world. Like, like we're finally getting to a point where it's like DC can be recognized for something more than politics. Right
when politics is at its craziest.
Right. It overshadows us. That's why it's so hard to break out. Is politics is such a dominating factor here that it just casts a shadow on every other culture here.
And that's why the world needs to just understand that we are more than one thing. And that's really what it's about. It's not even like we need to flush out the politics of it because we can't. We're like the nation's capital. Like, it's always going to be here. But I think the politics goes into all the other stuff we do too, because we represent those things and we fight and I don't even know, man. We have strong people here.
Interesting, diverse people.
Yeah. Interesting is the word.
Well, Trap Bob, I really appreciate your time on the show today.
Yeah, this was great.
It's been so cool chatting with you.
Yeah.
I've wanted you on for quite some time, and here we go.
This is what I mean. Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah. It's awesome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. I really enjoyed being here with you. All right, guys. Well, that's it. That's the angle. Peace out.
Bye-bye.
There we go.
That was great. Whew. Oh, man.